Well, good morning, everyone. It's good to see your smiling faces out there this morning. If you want to say hi in the chat area, let me and others know that you're with us. And also, you can hit subscribe, the subscribe button, if that's something that you'd like to do. Before we get going on our devotional, I just thought I would give you a little update on our church service. I know that some people, many of you have heard that Premier Ford has opened churches to be meeting, and some people have asked us, and I just wanted to give you a little update on some of the things. We had a quick board meeting last night to discuss how we'd handle things. So just so you know, we can have about around 65 people with all the social distancing things in place in our sanctuary. So we'll block off rows. Every second row will be people won't sit. And so we are saying that this Sunday, if you'd like to come to church, you are welcome to come. But let me tell you a few other things. First, worship will not be live; it'll be recorded. So but we are working and tweaking our service experience so it will be as flowy for those in the sanctuary as it is for those that are watching online through the live stream. We'll continue to do that. We're going to practice social distancing by blocking off every second pew and have social distancing practices within the pews that are available. We're going to try to make it as hands-free an experience as possible. The front doors will be closed, but you can use the handicap button if you want to use your elbow to open that. The inside doors will have them open for you to come in. We'll have the doors to the sanctuary open, and so you'll be able to do that. We'll have some hand sanitizers, and we will say that we have a limited supply of that, but if that's needed. And we will try to make the experience as normal as possible. We are not going to run kids programs this week. We will have handouts for them if that's something that they want to use. And let me just say this, that there are people from one end of the spectrum to the other on how they feel regarding COVID and safety and everything else. And we want to respect everyone's feelings. So if you're someone who has an immune system that could be compromised, we encourage you to, just feel free to stay home and continue to watch the live stream. If you are just someone who feels very uneasy and not sure about this whole process, we don't want to rush you. So again, stay home. If you feel more comfortable there, stay home. If you are feeling a little sick, if you've got a fever, we encourage you, please don't come. If you want to wear a mask, gloves, feel free to come and do that. We will not have masks or gloves for anyone, but if anybody wants to wear those, you are more than welcome to do that. And remember, we're going to continue to do the live stream. Now, this week, either today or tomorrow, you will probably get an email that outlines the guidelines that we're going to put in place, and hopefully that will help you to make a decision on whether you come to our service on Sunday or not. But we look forward to those that feel that they're ready to come back, and we'll try to accommodate them as best as we can to keep it a safe environment and a very positive worship experience as well. Okay, enough said about that. On with the devotional. A while ago, I was reading in First Chronicles, and I was reading in First Chronicles 13. King David gets this idea to bring the Ark of the Covenant back to Jerusalem, or not back, but to Jerusalem for the first time. See, the Ark of the Covenant had been in a small town for 70 years, and this town. And I did try to research this a little bit beforehand. This town was either maybe 9-10 kilometers or miles away, or maybe 30 kilometers or miles away. They really aren't sure if they can pinpoint the actual site of where it was. There's several possibilities, and the archaeology has not given them a full understanding. So different people have different views of it. But for 70 years, the ark remained in this town. And you remember that the ark was captured by the Philistines in a battle that they had with Israel. And this was before they even had a king. In fact, that the battle was when Eli was the priest, and his two sons were killed in that battle. And when Eli found out that the ark had been captured, he died. So it was that battle, and the Philistines took the ark, but it was nothing but trouble for them. So after a few months, they decided to send it back. And in 1 Samuel 6:7, it's not our passage, but that I'm looking at, but 1 Samuel 6:7, we learn that the Philistines decided they'd make a new cart, and they'd put the ark on the cart, and then they'd attach it to some cows and just send it back and see where it went. And what happened is it came to Israel, and it showed up at a town. The first town was Beth Shemesh, and it was there a short time. But some folks in Beth Shemesh had touched it and were killed for getting too close or looking at it, or looking in it, trying to look in it, and they were killed. And so the people of that town, that city, were nervous and scared. And so they sent it to another town, Kiriath Yearim, and that's where it remained for those 70 years. Now, fast forward. Samuel had his career as the prophet. King Saul was king for some 20 to 30 years. And then David became the king. And 10 years into David's reign, David gets this bright idea and says, hey, let's bring the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem. It's now the capital. Let's bring it here. And so he calls people together, and they all think it's a great idea. And they decide to do it. And this is what it says. This is how they brought the Ark of the Covenant back to Jerusalem. And it was the passage that I read. It was 1 Chronicles 13:7. And it says this: and they carried the Ark of God on a new cart from the house of Abinadab, and Uzzah and Ahoy were driving the cart. Now, they weren't actually sitting in the cart driving it. They were walking alongside, making sure that the oxen were going in the right direction. And while this was happening, there was all kinds of celebration going on. There was a throng of people in the procession. And everything was going good, except that as they were going, the oxen stumbled, and Uzzah put out his hand to steady the ark. And when he did that, in anger, God struck him down dead. And that stopped everything. So the question that I had is, why? How were they bringing the cart? What was wrong with what they were doing? And the method that they had chose to bring the cart back to Jerusalem, or into Jerusalem, was the same way that the Philistines had used to send the ark back to Israel after they'd captured it. David, the Levites, priests, they didn't even research how the Ark of the Covenant was to be transported. They just did it the way it had been transported the last time, which was by the Philistines. And how would the Philistines know? So my thought was this when I read that. I went, man, how often have I done things without asking God how or if or when I should do them? Now, in this case, David got angry, and I think he was maybe a little angry at God because he had this plan and he thought it was a good plan. He thought it was a plan that would please God. But he's also very afraid. He doesn't want to move that thing. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want that ark to go anywhere. He's afraid to move it, and so David finds himself kind of stuck, and he does nothing. And for 3 months, David does nothing. He leaves it in this place where Uzzah had touched it, and it stays in someone's home from that time. But about 3 months later, David hears that home is being blessed, and he says, maybe it's time that we bring it back. Let's try. This time, they research. This time, they research how the ark is to be transported. And this is what we read in 1 Chronicles 15, 13 to 15. David said, because you, the Levites, did not carry it the first time, the Lord our God broke out against us because we did not seek him according to the rule. So the priests and the Levites consecrated themselves to bring the ark of the Lord of God, the God of Israel. And the Levites carried the ark of God on their shoulders with the poles as Moses commanded according to the word of the Lord. And when they did that, the second time, everything went well. There was no problems. It came into Jerusalem without any harm. Everything worked good. But they did it because they researched and found out it was the Levites who were to carry the ark. And they were to consecrate themselves before they did it. And they were not to carry it or touch it, but they were to carry it on poles. And that there was like rings right on the ark to do that, to put the poles through. And they were carried on their shoulders with the poles. And I thought, everything goes well when you follow the rules, when you consult the scriptures, when you seek God and ask him what you should do. You see, we can have a great idea. And in fact, the idea that we have could be something that we think God would really like. But what if it's not the way God would like it done? And it's important for us to seek him out before we jump into something. But also there was another point here, another thing that struck me. In fact, this is the thing that kind of struck me more than anything else. Sometimes we give up on plans that fail. And maybe instead of giving up on them, we should go back and seek God's direction on them. Sometimes we fail and say, I guess God said no to me. Or or we get angry with God because we thought we were doing something good. We thought we were doing something that was a good idea, and it got shut down, it failed, it didn't work, and we are a little angry, and so we stop, we quit. Maybe the idea was good. And so I kind of thought about myself, maybe I shouldn't give up on some of those things that failed in my life. Maybe I should go back to God on some things and seek his counsel. And maybe he has a different way for me to do things or you to do things. Maybe the timing is important. Maybe other things need to be in place or considered before you go ahead. And my thought was, just don't quit the things that you felt God wanted you to do. Go back and get some clarification and maybe further direction, because maybe that's what you need to do. And I thought that's a good message. That was a good message for me. And there was a couple of projects that I had done in the past that had not really turned out the way I thought. I had really thought that this was something that God wanted me to do, but I kind of abandoned them because they didn't seem to be working out. And so when I read this and when I was doing my devotions, I said, I need to revisit a couple of these things and see if maybe maybe I just wasn't consulting God on them, and I was running ahead, going in the wrong direction. And maybe they are projects that God would like me to continue, but do it His way. So here's a good question for you to ask yourself, or ask God. You could ask this: God, what have I left or quit or given up on because it didn't work, or I got frustrated that you didn't help me complete? And then ask God if there is something that He has to say about those projects that come to your mind, that He brings to your mind. Maybe there's something that He brings to your mind and you just need to go back to Him and seek Him on that. So that's my devotional for today. Let me pray with you, and then I'll do a few shout outs. There's a few people online here. So let me pray for you. Lord, I just want to thank you that you are with us and you love us. And Lord, sometimes we just don't get the message right, or we jump ahead. We get too far ahead of where you're going. And Lord, I just pray that we would not abandon or quit on things that maybe didn't go the way we felt they were going to go. Maybe they failed. Maybe they stalled out. Lord, I pray that those things that you bring to our minds when we ask, that we would be excited once again and ask you and seek you for your advice and your help and your wisdom on how to proceed and what we should do in them. Lord, thank you for this day. We have the whole day ahead of us. I pray that you would bless us. I pray that you would speak to us. I pray that you would use us in all that we do today. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Thanks for joining me. And Pascal, good to have you with us. And Lily and Bob, all the way from Edmonton. Great to have you online today. Ian and Bud, thanks for tuning in. And Mercedes and Jessica and Karen Smith, great to have you guys online. And also Lori and probably Jack as well. Great to have you guys online. So have a great day. Some of you we may see on Sunday. And if not, continue to tune into the live stream. And don't forget, tonight we have an End Times video for you. It starts at 7 o'clock. And you should have got the link last night to be able to tune into that. Or you can go to the website, and under the End Time, under the main screen, there is a link to tune to that End Time video on Thursday evening at 7 o'clock. All right, that's it. Have a great day. Good to see you all. Take care. Bye now.